Hi, folks. Again, I'm back here. I'll try to keep this a little bit more brief than the first couple that I've sent out. So off we go. So, first of all, thank you all for helping make sure students are getting started in the course. Compared to previous semesters, this semester by far has started out much, much better in terms of completion rate. So, thank you for your help. And if you could continue to kind of monitor occasionally to make sure work's being done, that would be great. Again, I'm going to show you the pacing guide that's in here, and then I'm going to talk briefly about the next module that we should be working on. So, by now, the goal or the hope is that the introductory folder and the module one folder are completed. I have some people that are well ahead of that. There's some that are kind of falling behind. They only really got started over here. So, again, if you could nudge those who are maybe a little bit behind, that would be great. Module two is dealing all with sign signals and road markings. And this is one that early on in the course, I asked students what they want to learn, and a lot want to be more familiar with road signs and markings and things like that. So this is one that I think students can get quite a bit out of. I want to go into the actual folder here and talk briefly about it. This one's heavy with these Ed Puzzle assignments. Um, and the reason we do it that way is the videos in there do a really good job, in my opinion, of describing the differences with signs. If we look at signs that are on the roadways, they're meant for about an elementary aged comprehension level, but some people get really confused by them. So there's some things that we can do to kind of distinguish between the different signs out there. First of all, when we see these guide or location signs, those are signs that are green. They could be blue. They could be brown. So that's one way that we can distinguish what they are and what they're trying to tell us. One of the easiest kind of guide signs that's out there would be an exit sign on an interstate, right? Those big green signs that are telling us where the exits are and things like that. Could be services that are available. So the blue signs telling you when there's a gas station, what food areas are often exit, things like that. Regulatory signs, these are signs that tell us what we can and cannot do on the road. So they're mainly white, red, and black. Picture a stop sign, right? It tells us we have to come to a stop. All right. Now, the old joke is that if there's a white border around a stop sign, you don't have to come to a stop. That's optional. Please make sure that your son or daughter understands it's not optional. The only time you can go through a traffic or a stop sign is if there's the accept right turn placard below. Warning signs, which are probably the most frequent of all, are usually yellow, and they warn you that there's a danger ahead. So your deer crossing, your turn in the road, whatever it might be, those are all warning signs. What I'd really like you to do, if you could, is as students are in a vehicle with you, instead of them just doing this the whole time, have them actually look at all the signs that are on the road and try to tell you what they mean. Right? I think it's the best way that they can get familiar with a lot of the signs that are out there. And it might give you a little bit more assurance, especially as they get their permits and their licenses, that they see what's out there. It's amazing how many people miss signs because they're caught up in other things. The signals talks about traffic signals, basic things with those. The yellow flashing left arrow is kind of new in Pennsylvania. We treat it like an old steady green light where you yield to any oncoming traffic if you're making a left turn. That's the only one that people get a little bit unfamiliar with. A flashing red, you have to stop. Flashing yellow, you slow down. So a lot of times there might be a traffic signal if it's poor weather that going one direction it's a flashing yellow, the other is a flashing red. I see people that don't really know how to handle that very well, even experienced drivers. So getting caught up on those things, this talks more about that. And then some general lane markings. So what the difference between a yellow line and a white line is. By the way, yellow lines separating traffic are two-way traffic. White is one way. A broken line versus a solid line. Solid line, you're not supposed to be switching lanes, even if it's a white solid line, by the way. A lot of us fail to do that. So those are what the lane marking areas talk about. There's a little quiz they can take, talks a little more about that. And then at the end here, again, there's a quiz or a test. They need to get 12 correct out of 15 questions. All right. I always like to give you a little overview of each module. Uh, that way, as students are kind of working through it, if they need help, they can certainly ask you, hopefully, for some assistance there. If you have any questions about anything, please let me know. Again, if you could kind of make sure that students are keeping up with that pacing guide. So trying to complete this here by about the second week of February would be great. I'd appreciate that. Thanks for all you do. I'll see you later.